Okay, so let's start with this tutorial. I've already created my folder and I've called my folder pineapple menu. In this folder I want to create my index.html file, so new text document index.html. I want to create my CSS folder, which I'll call styles, and also I want to create an images folder. For the images, I've already created my logo and I've already downloaded an SVG, which I will show you in a second. If you go back to styles and create a new file, let's call the file styles.scss, as this is what we'll be using for this tutorial. And to start the project, there are two ways. I will be using Visual Studio Code, and the first way to start it is by shift, right click, open PowerShell Windows here, and just type code dot. That will open your project in Visual Studio Code. And the other way of opening the project is actually by going File, Open Folder, and selecting the folder. Now that I've opened my project, I can close the windows, the welcome window, close my terminal, as I won't need it anymore. As I said, for this tutorial I want to use Sass, and if you want to install live Sass, you can go under here, which is extensions. By the way, if your menu is closed, you can open it by Ctrl and B, or just click on here and it will open this menu for you. So make sure you install Live Sass compiler, which will help us to compile our Sass file into normal CSS, and also to save us refresh every time we make a change. I've installed Live Server. They're both installed and they're both here at the bottom of my Visual Studio Code. So let's close this, go to Explorer, which will show all the files. Click on index.html. Let's start watching Sass, and also let's go live. As you can see, our document is blank at the moment, but I will try to put this on the right side here, and I will try to put Visual Studio Code on the left side so you can see better. Okay, I think this is looking good. I might zoom in a little bit more. Hopefully this will be alright. I will close the menu on the left side so it doesn't get in the way. But to start with, let's create our HTML, and to do this we can use the emit. So if you just type HTML, the emit abbreviation should come up, and we'll be using HTML5. So this is already setting up our HTML for us, which is great. Let's name the project as pineapple menu. Let's now link our style sheet, which will be the styles.css, and to link it we have to create a link with the row of style sheet. Media needs to be set to all, and href needs to be under styles, and select styles.css. Let's close this, and we now have linked our style sheet. To see whether our style sheets are linked, I can quickly go to the styles.sass file, and we can have it open at the top as well. I think these are going to be the only two files that we'll be working on, so I can close the Explorer menu by clicking Ctrl and B or Command and B on Mac. So let's say body, and let's change the body color to something like aqua. When I save, the document should change, but for some reason the live compiler didn't seem to work. Let's change it again to red. Okay, it's working now. We now know that our CSS is linked, and we can begin by structuring our HTML. As you've seen in the introduction, we need to create the top bar, and I'm just going to create a section just for the demo. So let's use the HTML5 as well. So let's create header. Inside the header we will have our menu, and we will have the logo. Also let's create a main tag. And main is basically will act as our section, and inside main I will just include the image that I showed you earlier. If you go back to Explorer, click on images, undraw, this is the image I will be using, and I actually downloaded this image from undraw.co and /illustrations. I just picked one that I like. I think it was this one that I picked. So if you need to know the URL, I will post in the description below. Let's include this image quickly. Image source, images, undraw, noted pc9f.svg, and let's put an alt tag undraw. Okay, now we're getting the image in here. Now we can start creating the header. Hopefully the main image won't interfere. For now I can comment it out by command on Mac, command and slash, or on Windows control and slash, and that will comment it for us. And if I save it, it won't get in the way, but I'll style it in a second. So let's add the menu and let's add the logo. So first of all, I want to create some sort of a responsive grid. I can use grid for this or flexbox, but I'm just going to do it the old school way just because it will work on all browsers. While flexbox can be a little bit more problematic, especially on Internet Explorer 11 and older versions. I want to create my header to be full width, and inside let's start by creating a class, and I will call this a row which will wrap my columns, and let's give it another class of container, and inside this container I will have a div class of column 6, and I will explain this in a second. Inside here we want to start creating the menu, and for the menu let's create another div with the class of menu, and inside here I want to create a link with href, and I want to create a span. This will all make sense in a little bit. So I've created the first column, which is the menu, and now I want to create another column with the class of column 6. Inside here I will have my logo. I will wrap the logo in a link, so we wanted to make it clickable, but just for the demo I will put the hashtag so the link is not broken. Inside here let's add the image. So image, source, images, and I will just include the logo. For the alt, we can just say logo for now. So you won't be able to see the logo because my header background color is actually set to white. Let's change that. Let's see if this image is well. To uncomment, control and / on Mac, command and /, so it doesn't get in the way, which is great. So let's start by doing some styles. I will be adding the menu in a little bit, but I wanted to do it step by step. I didn't want it to overcomplicate it too far. On the body, let's do a few things that we normally do, such as reset the margin. Let's set the background color to be white. I mean, it's already white, but let's do it anyway. Font size, I want it to be around, the base font size to be around 17 pixels. I also want to include a font, and for the font, if we go to Google font, the font I want to include is called Source Sans Pro. If you click on it and click on the plus sign here, it should pop up with a little message at the bottom, family selected. Unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to expand the browser and scroll down maybe. Okay, let's expand again. Okay, I refreshed on the full browser and that worked. There are two ways of importing the font. I will just use the import and copy this. Go back to Visual Studio Code. I will just add the import on top of the body. So it looks like this. I will copy the font family from here as well, and we can close Google Fonts now. That seems to work. And font family, let's paste that, and we have our main font is Source Sans Pro. For the header, I want to change the color first so we can see what's going on. And because we're using HTML5, we can just target the header like this. Let's say this won't matter in this tutorial as much, but let's say maximum width to be 920 pixels. I want the header to be position fixed, so when we scroll down to stay at the top. So let's do top to be 0, left, right 0. Z-index, we can set it to 1 so it goes over the content, and let's set the background color as well to something like 313131, and you can now see the logo in here and the menu. I want to set the height for now roughly around 44 pixels. I also want to, later on I would want to add overflow hidden, but for now I will just comment it out by control and / or command and / on Mac. I will also need to add a transition but I will explain this later. So let's do it step by step. Now that we have our header, as you can see, the columns don't work yet. As I said before, I could have done this with grid, which it makes it extremely easy. I don't want to use grid just in case you follow this tutorial and then you realize that it doesn't work on all the browsers. Grid is getting widely supported now, but you will have a few problems with Internet Explorer and iPhones, I believe. Let's do this anyway. Let's do our own columns, and the first thing I want to do is let's target everything, and I want to say the box sizing to be border box. So when we put padding on our element, the padding won't be added to the width, but it will use the width. I will show you in a second. We've done that. To create the columns, I called my column col6, and the reason for this is because you normally have something like 12 columns on the website, and column 6 is usually going to be the one where the width is set to 50%. So let's do that quickly. With 50%, we can text align everything to the left, which will save us a lot of time. Let's float everything to the left as well. Everything is aligned to the left and floated to the left, so we have the 2 columns here. If I inspect this, 1 column, 2 columns. The next thing we need to create is or drop down. We can create it now if you like, so let's do that quickly, and I will actually create the drop down inside this row. To be fair, that doesn't really matter so much, but what I was going to do with the row is I was going to clean everything after, so it would look something like this: row and everything after. I will do content, clear both, display table. Okay, that should clear everything at the bottom if you had any other divs, but I don't know whether we'll need it, but let's have it anyway. So let's go back and quickly create the drop down. The drop down will be created in this container, and we can actually create it underneath the logo. And for the logo, let's add a class of logo so we can target it later. We can target the menu here and we'll target the logo here. So let's create the menu items. To do this, I will use a URL, and inside the URL I will create a list. Each list will have a link, so href, and let's put the hashtag so we don't have a broken link. I will save this. I will repeat. Let's add something as well here. Let's add Mac, and let's copy this a few times. I won't be doing the search input, but that will be easy to do. Just add it in the list and you just have to style it a little bit. For the URL, let's give it a class of dropdown, and this is our menu. Let's quickly start the logo because that's the easiest one. For the logo, we can, because the logo is inside the header, we can write in here. So let's do logo. Inside the logo, I just wanted to add a little bit of padding. I think these things get in the way at the moment, but you're gonna have to trust me on this. You will need a little bit of padding just to make it look good. It's nothing important. Image, we might need to add width of 15.67 pixels to be precise. That will look better later on when we fix all this. Let's add the drop down by command and / or control and / on Windows, and let's start the menu first. So this is probably the hardest part of this tutorial. It's gonna be a little bit tricky, but let's make ourselves a little bit of space in here. Let's have a look. We have this div with the class menu, so we can copy this and target it. So, and I'm writing the SCSS inside the header. Menu. For the menu, we need to set the position to be relative, and I will show you why in a second. I want to add some padding, which will make the button look a little bit better, but we can always adjust a little bit later. I've already calculated that this should look good. Everything goes correct. We already have a float left, so I won't do that. Inside the menu, if you remember, we have a link. For the link, I want to do width of 20 pixels, height to be set to 20 pixels. I want to display as block, position relative, and we should be good with this. So inside the A, we now have a span. This is where the tricky bit will go, but as soon as you see it, you will see that it's not that complicated. So span, let's target a span. Inside the A, we create a span, and for the span, I want the width to be 100%, I want the position to be absolute, and I want to text indent something like minus 999. Let's put M. What the text indent does is actually removing the menu text for us. So if I remove it back, if I take this off and save, you will see that we have the menu here. If I put it back, you will see that the menu is now gone. So now that we've created the span, what I want to do is I want to use the element, the pseudo element before and after to create the little lines of our menu. To do this, we can write inside the span the %. We can do before, comma, and after. To create the pseudo element, we first need to do content. Single or double quote should do the job. Let's set the height to be 1 pixel. So this is how it's on Apple's website. Let's do the background of white. The width needs to be set to 100 pixels, so it goes full width inside the span. Position needs to be set as absolute. Top is going to be around 0, and left will be around 0 as well. So you see that we are getting the first line. We've actually created 2 lines, but they're on top of each other at the moment because we've done this. We've done the rules for both of them. So in order to separate the lines, what we have to do is target, let's target the after one. And what we have to do is do an ampersand after and just change the position. Top 6, let's say 6 pixels. Sorry, the after shouldn't be inside here. The after should be outside, I just noticed. So let's cut that and put the after in here. Okay, if we save now, you will see that the after is now showing as well. And to show you what's going on, we basically created an empty div with the pseudo element and we gave it a height of 1 pixel. Inside each element, we just have a background color of white. So if I was to put this to 2, you'll see that it's getting much thicker, which actually looks really good. But let's change it back. And by the way, you can see that I've actually aligned the logo quite well, and menu toggle is looking good as well. Now we have to create an active element which will trigger on click with JavaScript and add an active CSS class to this menu. And this active CSS class will basically rotate the lines to create the X for us. What we can do, let's go back to our menu and add active next to the menu, and let's go back to a style sheet, write the active class. So for the active, we will need to target the span elements again because these are the lines and we want to rotate them. So let's do, by the way, this should be outside the span, so let's move it. Okay, that looks better now. Let's target the before tag first. Let's use the transform property. Translate Y. I've already done this, but I will show you how I've actually done it to make it perfect. So it's translate Y 4 pixels, and then we need translate X to be roughly 1 pixel, and we need rotate to be 45 degrees, and close this. I can move this to the left so you can see, and if I save this, I think the active might be best if it's on the A. Let's have a look. So the active class will be actually adding it on the link. So if we, for the demo, let's move it from here to here. So class active on the link. If you go back to a style sheet, you will see how this is rotated. If I move this to 8 or 7, you will see how it rotates more. And if I bring it back, by the way, if you inspect it as well, you'll be able to rotate it from here. So let's click on before, and you'll be able to rotate it here, make it perfect for you. But as you can see, X is moving it left and right, the translate Y is moving it up and down, and the rotation is basically this. So let's refresh. Now we have to do the after. So we basically have to do the same thing for the other line, which is our after element. Translate Y. I've already calculated mine, so it's going to be roughly around 2 pixels. 1 pixel for translate X. And for the rotation, we need to do negative 45 degrees. And as you can see, we're getting a perfect cross. So far, this is really good. By the way, I can close the Explorer by clicking Ctrl and B or Command and B on Mac. And now I can do a tab so things look a little bit more organized. And let's close this as well. We need to make sure that when we click on the burger menu, this class is added to the href in here. Let's take that off, as we want to add it with JavaScript. And for this tutorial, I will just write the JavaScript here at the bottom of my HTML, as it's just easier. So let's open a script. And also you can use jQuery if you like, but I'm just going to write vanilla JavaScript. First of all, we need to create an on-click event. And to do this, we need to find out what the button is called. So our button is called, so when we click the div menu with the class menu, we need something to happen. So let's copy that and do document query selector. Inside the query selector, we can do double quote dot menu, as we're targeting the menu class, which is here. And now we need to add an event listener. Add event listener, and the event listener needs to be click, and we need to create a function. Let's call the function toggle menu, as it will make more sense. Save this. We need to create this function. So let's create a function, toggle menu, open curly brackets and close curly brackets. To test this, you can either do console log or you can do an alert. Just for this demo, I will do an alert saying works. If you save this, click on the menu, here. Nothing is happening because I've actually made a mistake in here. This is a function, so we need to make it like this. So now that should work. Okay, let's save this again. Click on the menu and you will see that the event listener is now working. Okay, let's remove the alerts, as we know that it's working. We now need to query the menu and then the link inside the menu to add the active class that I was talking about earlier. So to do this, we can do a very similar thing to this. So let's use ECMAScript or JavaScript 6, and let's call this. So I'm creating basically a variable with the name of menu link. You can call it whatever you like, and basically that will be equals document query selector, and we can target the menu and the link inside it. Let's close this, and to add the active class to this div, to the link in here, it's actually fairly simple with JavaScript. So we need to do this on inside the function. What we can do is we can actually use the menu link now, and then we can say something like class list dot toggle. We can toggle the active class. If we click on this now, you will see that, let me show you quickly. You will see that our link has now got a class with the name of active. And let me refresh so you can see the class is not there. When I click on it, it's activated. We obviously want to do some animation as well, but we can do this in a second just by using CSS. By the way, I forgot to style the main bit. Let me style that super quickly so it doesn't look too bad. If we go to, we can just add on here, main, and what I want to do is just, let's do text align center, so this image here is aligned on the center. Let's give it a lot of padding, maybe 4 ems. I wonder if I call them main. Yes, it's main. And also let's do a background color of something like FA. I don't know if it's changing or not. Probably not. It's because I'm writing the thing in the header. Let's remove this space and move outside. And if I put red now, okay, so now it's working. FA. So this is like a super gray color, and you can see that the padding is actually working now, which makes it look quite nice. But also the image is not responsive. We can do that as well super quickly. And to make the images, all the images on this layout responsive, add the image in here. We can target all images, give it a width of 100%. So you can see it's already almost responsive, but we need to add height of auto. And we need to, I think that should do the job. Maybe maximum width for this image to be 600 pixels. I think this should do the job. And this is just for a demo, by the way. It doesn't do anything. Go back and continue. So now that we have our toggle function in here where it's adding the active class, the toggle works, and let's now do the animation. As you can see, there is no animation at the moment, but we can do this quite easily with CSS. If I go back to a style sheet, find the href, which is here, I want to add a transition on the span in here. The transition will be cubic Bezier. I'm just copying from my notes here, but I will show you how I came up with these numbers, and I'm not super happy with it, but you can experiment and do your own. Okay, so this is one that we need. Let me quickly show you how I found the transition and how I did the transition, sorry. If you go to this website called easings.net, there will be a lot of transitions that you can literally copy and paste. I always seem to use this one. If I click on it, it will give you the transition and all the numbers will be set for you. So this is what I've pretty much copied. You can change the time and all the numbers to make it unique, customize it the way you want it. This link will be also in the description below, but let's close it for now. What I want to do is let's copy this transition, paste it underneath before and after. If I save this, toggle the menu, you will see that we're getting this super smooth animation. We have to go to our index.html and reveal our drop down menu that we created earlier. Control and / to uncomment, or command and / on the Mac users. We are getting back the drop down. For the drop down menu, as you can see, we're using a list. Let's write the CSS somewhere around inside the header. So the header starts here and we can write it here. So what we can do is target the UL, drop down, and the first thing, let's make sure the width is 100% because I want it to fit the whole layout. Also, let's make sure that the margins reset to 0, list style to none. So list style is basically going to remove the bullet points. Let's clear everything just in case it was actually conflicting with our element. No? Okay. We might not need this, but anyways, let's add it there, and let's add a little bit of padding around there. So we have 30 pixels all the way around. That should be good. So let's now target the list inside. And by the way, if you want performance, you can give each list or href class name. But for this, I'm just going to use UL and just stack it underneath just like this. So width is 100%. The width of the list item I want it to be 100%, and I want the height to be set roughly around 44 pixels. As you can see, they're now getting spaced out. And by the way, the drop down menu is inside the header, but I've set height to the header, and that's why it's not expanding. So if I scroll up and comment the header through a sec, you will see that it will expand, and this is what we'll be using in a second to do the animation as well. Let's keep it this way so we can style it a little bit, make it look good. Height is 44, and let's now target the link, which is literally inside the list. And for the link, all I want to do is make sure the font size is around 1em, which, yeah, it's already 1em as I said. Let's remove that, and let's change the color, which is very obvious, to white. Also, I want to add a separator under each item. You can do list, not, and inside here you just type last child. So every single list, but not last child. What I want to do, border bottom 1 pixel, solid, and the color is 232323. We are getting the borders. I think I need to sort out the padding a little bit because it's not looking very nice. Maybe I can add padding on the A. What about the list? Okay, that's looking a little bit better, but I only want padding at the top and bottom. So okay, that's looking better now. So top and bottom padding is 10 pixels and left and right is 0. And by the way, we can display these links as a block as well, display block. So hopefully when you click around here, the link should work as well. So it's full width. That doesn't matter too much now. If you want to do hover effect, you can do, and you can do them on the link as well. Maybe do something like this just to show you. I will copy this. Okay, this hover would be actually better if it was set on the list, I believe, but because there is no padding, it looks a little bit ugly, so I'm just gonna get rid of it for now. Okay, so we have our beautiful pineapple logo, we have the toggle, and we now have to make sure that when we click the menu button, the navigation opens and closes and it's all super smooth. Let's do that. Let's go back to the index.html, scroll down to our JavaScript, and what I want to achieve is I want to add another class to the whole header, and the class will have darker color than this, and let's see how this looks like. So let's create the class first and I'll explain as we go. So under header, as I said, I want to add a class. The class, let's call it black, as it will have a background color of black. We might need to give it a height, but this is mainly for animation purposes. If we copy this and add the class to the header, black, we'll see that the color is changing. But basically we want to do this with JavaScript. So we want to add this class to the header with JavaScript. Let's copy black and go back down at the bottom where the JavaScript is. And what I will try to achieve is basically do exactly the same thing as this, but for the header. And let's just call a header. So let header equals query selector and header, and we can now use the header variable to do class list dot toggle. We want to toggle black. Okay, save this and let's see what we have. Okay, this is looking good. When we click on the menu button, we are getting the toggle. And if I show you super quickly so you understand, if I go down This is the header, and if I click on it, you'll see how it's adding the class of black, and when I click back off it, it removes the class for us. So this is perfect. Now we need to hide the menu and do the transition, and this is all down to CSS. So let's put back the height on the header. As you can see, we are still seeing the menu here. Wording is obviously white, so that's why you can't see it, but when I select them, you can see them here. And to fix this, we can do overflow hidden. Now the menu is not getting in the way. The black class is adding a height of 400 pixels, which will help for the animation. So what we have to do now is do a CSS transition. What we can do, all 350 milliseconds ease in should do the job. So let's click on this, and we're getting this super beautiful animation. We can also do this to the bottom of the screen, so 100 VH, and if we click, we're getting this at the bottom of the screen. And if we go to the Apple's website, you will see that the effect is similar, but I think they're using a little bit more transitions and it does look slightly better. So if you spend a little bit more time, you can achieve this effect fairly easy, I believe. So this is everything for this tutorial. I hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Again, my name is Raddy and you're watching my channel Raddy the Brand. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please comment below. I would love to hear what you think about all the videos that I'm doing. And yeah, make sure you subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.